This past 7-8 months, I've been the most consistent in the gym than I ever have before. And it's also one of the hardest seasons that I've been walking through in my life. However, I don't think that's a coincidence that I'm consistent in the gym and exercising and also going through one of the hardest seasons. So welcome back to the Steward the Suffering podcast. My name is Jared, and my goal is to help Christian men suffer well for Christ as they're walking through their valley seasons. And so in today's episode, we're talking about why the valley is actually the best place to start getting consistent with your physical fitness and exercising. So I want to share, of course, why we should, and also how you can start leaning into your physical fitness. One of the enemy's main tactics is to keep you isolated, to keep you depressed and riddled with anxiety so that it's hard for you to get out and about and to take care of yourself. The more he can distract you and take you away from looking at and looking like the image of God, or at least can make you think you don't look like the image of God, the better he wins, or the better he thinks he wins. And so what better way to fight the enemy than to lean into exercising and taking care of your body in this season? What would it look like for you to lean into natural and God-honoring dopamine releases in your body in this season? Because we all know that that's what the valley season is. It's a season of suffering. And so it's going to be harder to naturally be at a state where you're like, man, things are good, things are chilling, like I'm doing great, because in reality, things aren't really that great for you. Often in these valley seasons, at least for me, there were so many moments where I wanted to binge eat, or I wanted to indulge not just one night, but multiple nights in ice cream and things like that. And of course, there were times where I did and sometimes still do, but I think that's a strong ploy of the enemy to try and get you to not focus on taking care of your body. So as a result, that not only are you experiencing this valley, but you're also struggling to have the energy and the excitement and the endurance to physically keep going each day. Since you're fighting to keep going each day, why not also fight to take ownership of your physical health and your body, and to get consistent at the gym and get consistent with eating right? Again, it's weird for me to talk about because throughout the years I've been going to the gym on and off, and I really don't feel like I'm at a spot where I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely shredded, I'm ripped. But when I look back, I'm like, okay, I'm doing more now and doing more now consistently than I ever have before. And I honestly attribute that to the valley and how, like, when things are super messy around me, I can control this and I can invest into my body this way. That also honors God in the process. So with honoring God, this also gives you an opportunity to praise him and be reminded of the truth as you exercise. It sounds so weird, but like there are moments where I don't know, doing a goblet squat with a dumbbell, and I'm like, God, thank you for giving me these legs and the muscles to be able to even lift this weight. Like, I don't deserve it, and it's honestly a blessing that I do have the ability to work out like this. I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, but there's so much that we take for granted and overlook in praising God and thanking God for, including exercising and working out. Like if your body works as it's supposed to work, that's something to praise God for. There's so often moments where like I will put on Skillet before I go to the gym, and because they're a Christian heavy rock, borderline metal band, I get fired up because I'm like, I am directly resisting the enemy right now and investing into not just my spiritual health, but also my physical health. And it might just be a guy thing, but there's something energizing about lifting heavy weights and investing into shaping the body the way you want it to be. Like I say this all the time, I will never regret going to the gym, but I will regret skipping a workout or to not going to the gym. And of course I should have prefaced that, like, whether you exercise or not isn't sin versus not sin, at least I think. But there is a sense of like stewardship that goes into exercising. If we're talking about stewarding the suffering here on this podcast, part of stewarding includes your body. And so especially as you're navigating your season of suffering, your valley season, this is part of it, because your natural inclination is to just indulge and to binge eat and to make food or sleep or isolation your medicine, but it can't be. Point number 3 is, when you think about it, the mountaintop, and once you get through the valley, whatever you built and implemented during the valley will be revealed in the next season and will be revealed once you're on the mountaintop. So what greater feeling and what greater way to honor God than to also have invested into your physical health throughout this entire journey? The things you implement now and the work you put in now will be revealed later on. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, let's suffer well and let's steward well. Let's do whatever I can to make the most of this season. What can I control in this season when it feels like so much is uncontrollable? Point number 4 is that this can also be a time to learn. Besides just going to the gym and lifting weights, something that's been super impactful for my life is getting a bike and going on long bike rides. Because through that time, this is a time to learn. I feel like I've been investing more into Christian-based, faith-based podcasts, such as the Deep In podcast with Joby Martin at the Church of 1122, or the Becoming Something podcast, John Tyson's church sermons on Sundays. You can use this time as a time to also invest into knowing more about God and knowing more about the Christian walk and what it means to follow Jesus. It gets me fired up thinking that like, okay, wait, the enemy's trying to drag you down and pull you down in this season of suffering. And honestly, I'm preaching to myself at this point too, but the enemy's trying to pull you down. But what happens when you're going to the gym consistently, going on a run, going on a long bike ride, going on a walk, doing these things that honor God and resist the enemy in this way? Like it's so empowering and it's so cool. It truly can be a testimony for others and a testimony of your own faith to know, man, this was the hardest season of my life. And through that hardest season, I got so disciplined with these things and this workout plan and that kind of thing. Like, imagine if that was your story to be able to tell others as they're walking through their suffering season, or if they just ask you, why does it seem like you just went through the hardest season of your life, yet you're closer to God and feel and look like you have more energy in your life? Like, it doesn't make sense. So those are the reasons why you should invest into your physical health during the valley season. But what are some few tangible, practical things that you can implement right now after watching this video? The first one is to try to incorporate walking more. Sometimes I think it's an overlooked exercise, but I truly think that like walking is an effective tool for not just weight loss, but also your endurance and your relationship with the Lord. You can walk before you go to work in the morning, before your commute. Just spend some time, like it can be 5 minutes, take a loop around your apartment complex or take a loop around your neighborhood, however long that may be. Implement some sort of walk before work. Once you get home from work, go on another walk, whether that's to the mailbox and back or something a little bit more than what you're currently doing. Small steps baby steps aren't bad, like baby steps often lead to things. Like when I think back to some of my previous episodes when I talk about Bible reading consistency, it didn't start with me waking up an hour and a half earlier. It started with me waking up 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, and then building on top of that. So what are those small baby steps with walking specifically that you can do? Find some way to add another 2,000 steps to your day, which is probably like around a mile. Or even if you can't do another 2,000 steps, what's a way you can add more steps into your daily routines? And then secondly, if you are somebody that goes to the gym or once had a consistent gym routine, but now it's kind of messed up because of the valley season that you're walking through, totally strip it down, get rid of it, and bring it bare bones minimum. So for me, not only do my workouts look different because my equipment looks different, but I also have just made sure to prioritize 2 to 3 times in the gym, consisting of a full body exercise. I think you're supposed to hit every muscle like 2 to 3 times per week for maintaining the muscle, but also growing the muscle. And so that comes down to just a full body workout each time. Originally, my workouts consisted of like 9 to 10 different movements, but I found that like I was just trying to superset everything and cram everything in, trying to see how I can share the equipment with other people at the gym. And now I've recently, the past couple of weeks, have brought it down to 5 exercises per workout, and it takes me like 25 minutes. In my mind, I'm like, some beats none, and I'd rather be consistent with this than not be going to the gym at all or not be getting a genuine workout in. So right now I don't have it off. I could probably look real quick. I can just look at it real quick. But I know it's like I hit legs. So when I look at one of my full body routines, it's legs, back, chest, arms, and then shoulders. Those 5 exercises. So I hit basically everything 2 to 3 times a week. And then this third thing you can do today is to start tracking your progress. It's so overlooked, the power in writing down what you're doing and tracking it over time to see. Specifically, I've used Strava. I got hooked from one of my friends, I think 9 months ago, 10 months ago, almost a year ago. And I love seeing the graph as it's consistent over time. Like it'll show like a dotted line graph and it's like, all right, I've been really holding steady each week with the amount of workouts I've been doing, or the amount of time I've been spent walking, or the distance and miles of my bike rides. I love seeing that progress. And through that, it's motivating to keep going and to stay disciplined with those workouts. So track it. I use Strava. I'd highly recommend that. Or if you want to make a diary or an entry or some sort of thing in your notes app, totally do that. But I think making sure you can write down your progress will keep you consistent in exercising this way. My encouragement to you is to do this, to invest into your physical health and to invest into making time for the gym. If it's not the gym, then go on long walks or go on a long bike ride or go on some runs. But this is the time to just grind it out, like literally grind out your physical fitness because of how hard this season is. Like get angry at the situation you're in and the valley season that you're walking through, and use it for God's glory and as a testimony to say, you know what, I'm mad and this is so hard, but God is so good and he's giving me a body that I can use to honor and glorify him with. So I'm going to steward it well and strengthen it. If this episode was impactful, let me know what resonated with you down in the comments below. In the show notes is a link to my website, which will bring you to the program that I have that you can join if you'd like. It's essentially a deep dive into these spiritual rhythms that you can implement that I talk about here on this channel so that you can be consistent and lean into these things as you're walking through the valley. Part of the program also has a private group chat on Slack, and we meet weekly to share highs and lows, what we're wrestling with, how we're implementing these specific rhythms that I talk about in my content. And it's a great place for accountability, further encouragement, and more. And with that, I will see you in next week's episode. Thanks for listening to the Steward the Suffering podcast.